Hey there, sci-fi lovers. Welcome to our channel, where the universe unfolds and the impossible becomes real. If you're as passionate about the unknown as we are, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us create more mind-bending adventures just for you.
The Galactic Tavern was known as a sanctuary for wanderers, explorers, and those with no place left to go. It was a dimly lit haven nestled deep in an asteroid field, far from the well-traveled space lanes. No one ever asked how patrons arrived. They simply appeared. It was a place of stories, some shared in confidence, others told to the whole room. Rich Covert, the tavern's ever-watchful owner, was behind the bar when a traveler stumbled in. The door slid shut with a heavy thud, and for a moment, no one paid attention. The steady hum of conversation and the clink of glasses continued as usual. But then the figure, a human, judging by the silhouette, collapsed onto a bar stool, their breath ragged and uneven. Rich noticed first. He placed a glass of dark liquid on the bar, eyeing the newcomer with concern. "Rough trip?" he asked in his usual calm tone. The traveler looked up, eyes wide and hollow. Dust covered their clothing, a strange, shimmering kind of dust that seemed to catch the light in an unnatural way. Their hands shook as they reached for the drink, downing it in a single gulp. They slammed the glass down hard enough to crack it. "I don't know who I am anymore." The tavern quieted. Conversations ceased, and heads turned toward the stranger. Even the most hardened travelers felt a chill creep down their spines at those words. For in the Galactic Tavern, where stories of cosmic horrors and forgotten worlds were shared every night, such a statement carried weight. Rich leaned forward, his sharp green eyes narrowing as he studied the traveler. "Take it easy," he said softly. "Why don't you start from the beginning?" The traveler, Eris, as they later introduced themselves, ran a trembling hand through their disheveled hair. "I was part of an expedition," Eris began, voice shaky. "We were sent to Calastra." Rich's expression darkened slightly. Calastra. Even in the farthest reaches of space, the name was whispered with caution. A planet long abandoned, a place where no light ever seemed to reach, and from which few returned. It was said to hold ancient secrets, remnants of civilizations long forgotten, but it was also said to be cursed. "We went there," Eris continued, "searching for lost technology. I don't even remember what we were after anymore, but it doesn't matter. When we landed on Calastra, everything seemed normal. It was cold, dark, and quiet. Too quiet. We thought it was just the atmosphere, but we were wrong." The other patrons of the tavern leaned in, listening intently. Eris's voice dropped to a near whisper as they continued. "Things started happening right away. At first, it was small stuff. My team, they started forgetting things, little things, like what they had for breakfast or where they put their gear. It seemed harmless, just nerves maybe. But then, it got worse." Eris's hands trembled as they reached into their cloak, pulling out a small, shimmering device. It was cracked and worn, but it pulsed faintly with an eerie light. "We found this in an old ruin. It was part of the reason we were there. But when we activated it, something happened. The air around us changed. It felt wrong." Rich's eyes flicked to the device, but he said nothing, waiting for the story to unfold. "We didn't realize what was happening until it was too late," Eris continued, voice breaking. "We started losing more than just memories. My team, they began to forget who they were, their skills, their knowledge, even their names. One by one, they disappeared, vanished into the dark. I tried to hold on to what I could, but I could feel it slipping away. My own memories. I don't even remember my full name anymore." A murmur of unease rippled through the tavern. Even the most stoic patrons felt a sense of dread creeping in. The story wasn't just a tale of danger. It was a story of erasure, of being devoured by something unseen. "They're not just forgotten," Eris whispered. "The people of Calastra, they were consumed." Rich's brow furrowed. "Consumed? By what?" Eris's eyes darted around the room, as if expecting something to emerge from the shadows. "They're not gone. They're still there. The memory thieves, beings, creatures, whatever they are. They feed on memories, not just fragments. They take everything, every experience, every skill, every piece of who you are. They leave nothing." The tavern was deathly silent now. No one dared move as Eris continued, their voice trembling. "They follow you. Once they take a part of you, they never stop. They latch on, like parasites. I barely escaped Calastra, but I know they're still with me. Even now, they're taking more." Rich straightened up, glancing around the tavern. The patrons were shifting uncomfortably in their seats, some of them visibly unsettled. "How do you know they followed you?" Rich asked, his voice low. Eris gave a hollow laugh, devoid of any humor. "Because I can feel them. I feel them taking pieces of me even now. I don't remember how I got here. I don't remember where I was before Calastra. They're feeding on me. And if they're feeding on me, they're feeding on everyone around me too." The patrons exchanged nervous glances. Some of them began to fidget, others stood up, as if they could feel the invisible presence Eris spoke of. Rich narrowed his eyes. "And this device?" he asked, pointing to the object in Eris's hand. "What is it?" Eris looked down at the shimmering artifact, their face filled with a mix of fear and confusion. "I don't remember," they said softly. "It was part of the ruin. I think it was meant to stop them, but I don't know how to use it. I don't even know how it works." Rich's gaze lingered on the artifact for a moment before he turned to the rest of the room. "All right, listen up," he said, his voice commanding attention. "We're not dealing with ghosts or legends here. If these memory thieves are real, then we need to figure out how to stop them." A few patrons grumbled under their breath, clearly unnerved by the idea of invisible creatures stealing their memories. Others looked to Rich for guidance, trusting his experience with the strange and the dangerous. "What do we do?" one of the patrons asked, their voice tinged with fear. Rich glanced back at Eris. "Do you remember anything else? Anything about Calastra or the memory thieves?" Eris shook their head, looking defeated. "I'm sorry. I don't. It's all gone." Rich sighed, running a hand through his silver-streaked hair. "All right. Here's what we're going to do. We'll study that device, see if we can figure out how it works. In the meantime, we need to stay sharp. If these things are feeding on us, we need to be aware of any lapses in memory. If anyone notices something missing, speak up immediately." The tavern patrons nodded, though the tension in the room was palpable. No one wanted to admit that they were already starting to forget things, small details, moments from earlier in the day. But as the minutes ticked by, the sense of something creeping into their minds grew stronger. Hours passed, and the tavern became a hub of frantic activity. A few of the more tech-savvy patrons gathered around Eris's device, trying to decipher its purpose. Others shared stories of their own encounters with strange phenomena, hoping to find some connection to the memory thieves. But as the night wore on, the unease in the room only grew. Rich, ever the calm presence, moved from table to table, checking on his patrons. But even he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. It wasn't until one of the patrons, a seasoned traveler named Jor, stood up in a panic that the truth became undeniable. "I don't remember how I got here," Jor said, his voice filled with terror. "I don't remember anything before today." The room fell into a stunned silence. "They're here," Eris whispered, their voice barely audible. "The memory thieves. They've already started." The patrons erupted into chaos. Some tried to leave, hoping to escape the invisible predators, but the doors of the tavern seemed to blur and fade in their minds. Others sat in stunned silence, clutching their heads as they tried to hold on to their memories. Rich slammed his hand on the bar, silencing the room. "Everyone, calm down," he barked. "We're not going to panic. We're going to figure this out." But even as he spoke, Rich felt it, a flicker of something missing. He couldn't remember what he had done that morning. He couldn't remember the last story he had told. The memory thieves were already at work, and they weren't stopping. Eris sat at the bar, staring blankly at the device in their hands. "I'm sorry," they muttered. "I didn't mean to bring them here." Rich clenched his fists, his mind racing. "There's got to be a way to fight this," he muttered to himself. But as the hours dragged on, the gaps in his own memory began to grow. The tavern, once a place of comfort and safety, had become a battlefield against an unseen enemy. The patrons clung to what little they had left, trying desperately to hold on to their sense of self. But one by one, they began to falter, and in the dim glow of the Galactic Tavern, the memory thieves fed. The end.
Thank you so much for joining us on this cosmic journey. If you enjoyed the ride, please hit that subscribe button and share the adventure with others. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you even more incredible stories. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the stars.